which is like 20 minutes from my house,
Mm-hmm.
to get my hair done with my friend Cami. So
You doing anything fun? I mean, I feel like after the bang chop, there's no.
oh no, I were doing anything fun. I mean, redoing the green, like
I love the
maybe,
green.
yeah, me too. I need to get it redone. Maybe do like some more green to where you can see it, but I don't know. It always takes forever. I don't like sitting there for 6 hours. So
Understood. Well, it does look like we're live now, so we can. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Spotlight on the Shadow Seekers. I'm joined today for day 4 with Erin Beavers, who is an amazing spiritual OBM. And we're going to talk all things, create your light and radiate your light, because she went through both of my programs. And then at the end, we're going to hear all about her business and her magic that she uses to light up the world with. So yay, I'm so excited. We were just talking about your hair, because I feel like that was such a transformation for you, like this kind of like stepping into this new version of yourself that like before you were hiding and playing small. And then it was this moment of just like, fuck it, I'm just going to do what I want. It was so
the
good.
Hair, the nose ring, it was like all the things, right?
No, it was so good.
Yes. I definitely attribute it to Create Your Light Academy. And prior, just like backstory, prior to that, I was in like kind of a toxic relationship, felt really trapped.
Yeah.
And when I joined it, my intention wasn't to like solve that, but that's what ended up coming out, right? Was like that he was blocking me and had given me more pain and more agony than like I was really consciously realizing. So yeah, like bringing that to the forefront. And then really like, I think it was around the time Create Your Light Academy ended was when I was finally like, okay, I had enough. I broke up with him.
Yeah.
And it was like maybe a month. Was it a month or so between Create Your Light Academy and to RYLA?
Something like that. Like, I think I remember having this whole, like, I think we actually talked about during your one-to-one, like this wasn't the right relationship for you. And then it was like, I still need to sort some stuff out. And then you broke up with him. And then we like immediately started radiate. It was quick.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So it was in that transition that I was like, okay, the universe was like, this is the time. You need to like cut ties, So I did that. And then it was like me trying to find myself again once I started RYLA. And I think it was like call 3 in, you were like, yeah, it's your appearance. It's something about your appearance. The guides keep saying that. And I like, I did this in my chair and I was like, oh, that's right. It is that, isn't it? And so that really sent me on the journey of like finding my style again, being like, fuck it, I'm going to get bangs, and put green in my hair because I hadn't had green in my hair in a really long time. So I was like, awesome. All right, I'm just going to be me, I'm going to put out into the world what I want. And then I think it was December when I finally got my nose pierced, and I had been like wanting to do that for a while too. So
good.
Hey.
That's one of the things I think people don't really realize comes out of doing things like shadow work. Like, it's shedding, and a lot of stuff in your life is going to change. But there is going to be this rebirth of like, well, now that I got rid of all the other stuff, who am I? Like, what do I want me to look like, to feel like, to sound like, to be like? And you come out and you become that person. And so much of the work that we do within shadow work is figuring out who that person is. It's like a combination of who you were in your past lives, your higher self, just like molding them all together until you figure out what that's going to be. And you choose it. You actively choose it, which is cool.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not that it can't evolve, because I'm still evolving and I'm still changing, it's always going to continue. It's just shadow work allows you to kind of like dig through the sand to find that like buried treasure.
That's a good way to put it, because it's true. It is constantly changing. And who knows, like maybe I'll be the one with green hair and bangs in a little while with a nose ring. I did have a nose ring before, but I got rid of my nose ring. I went
we won't talk about that.
I went the opposite direction, mostly out of laziness. It just was a lot. There's a lot of maintenance.
It is. It smells bad. No one told me it was going to smell bad. Like,
but it looks cool.
It does look cool.
It is funny how much like shadow work changes who we are. And, something that struck me as you were talking is the fact that when we had our initial call to Create Your Light, you never mentioned your relationship. That was not on the docket of things that you wanted to work about. And it did end up being one of the bigger things. And this week, I opened up Create Your Light Academy for enrollment. So I've had a bunch of calls with people who are considering joining the next round. And as we're talking through those, I always ask, like, why now? What's making you feel like you want to do shadow work? And I just mentally catalog it away because I know I'm going to help them work on that stuff. But it almost always ends up being something else that they need to work on, or that they're trying to get out of it. And they're either unaware of it themselves, or it's just something they don't realize is important. Like it's there, it's on the back burner, but like there's other stuff happening. So that's not really that important. And it turns out the other thing is the big thing.
It's like that thread of connection, right? Like is there, you don't see it, that was a big thing for me. And like the money and relationship is like so tied together. And like when I first started, I didn't realize how much it was, but like money and business and relationship, those things were united. And through that journey of like shadow work, I realized that connection. And so that was really cool.
Yeah. And as you realize that, it makes it easy to heal. You can pull all those layers off and focus in and niche down until it's gone. And that's something that I've really watched you evolve through over the time with Create Your Light and then with Radiate Your Light. It's like you shed so much. And then it was a rebirth process of having you step into this role as a leader in not just the work that you do, but like a spiritual leader. I feel like you really embody that in every way.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it. It's been great. I am now Reiki 1 attuned, and I'm working on getting Reiki 2 attuned. And I got to do my first distance healing session. I guess it was probably 2 weeks ago. And the lady that I did it with, I was doing some like movement in her neck and stuff, just like trying to massage it. She had said that her throat chakra was like what she wanted to focus on. So we did. And mind you, like we're not on a Zoom call. We're not like on the phone or anything. And I get back on the Zoom with her afterwards, and she was like, there was a point where I was feeling like I was on a boat and like rocking. And I was like, oh, that makes sense, because I was like massaging your energy, So that was just really powerful for me too, to know that like I was able to project that and heal someone in that way,
Yeah. Energy is everything. And our energy extends in ways that we can't even imagine. One of the things we talk about in Create Your Light, because we incorporate some Kundalini yoga into it, is the fact that stuff can get stuck in your energy, like shadow can get stuck in your energy. And also your energy is your greatest tool. The bigger it is, the stronger it is, the more powerful it is, the more magnetic you become. So for anybody who's thinking about entrepreneurship in any way, whether it's spiritual or otherwise, magneticism is huge. Or even if you just want to manifest, you need to be able to have that magnetic energy to call the stuff that you want in. And energy moves stronger when you are stronger. So we already know you have that going for you with all the work that you've done. Of course, the people you work with are going to feel it.
For sure. And I'm just reflecting back to like who I was prior to it. I showed up and I felt very like meek and like didn't trust myself. I didn't trust energy. Like I'm sure you remember those conversations in the beginning of Create Your Light Academy with me, where it's like I had this conceptual idea of all of those things, and like it sounded really cool, and like I believed it, but I didn't really believe it and like trust it. And so through Create Your Light Academy, like I've been able to feel it in my body and trust it and see the power of it. More than ever before,
So cool. I'm really, really proud. Just having a moment now, like reflecting back on those first conversations that we had. You are a different person. Like 1,000% able to recognize you. Yeah, it's wild.
It really is. I couldn't be more thankful.
Well, what was your favorite part of doing shadow work? Because I know it's something that scares the shit out of people, but I also know that there's a lot that comes up that's actually awesome about it. So what did you like about it?
I think just being able to go back to my past lives was really cool. I know I said this in kind of like our questionnaire and stuff that we posted, but like,
yeah, but you can share it here just in case people didn't see it.
For sure. Yeah. That was the coolest part, was like being able to go back to my past lives and making the connections with people in my 3D reality now, knowing that like they were there in these other past lives and we had those connections, especially creating that relationship with my friend who had passed away when I was so young. Like that was something that was major that came out of Create Your Light Academy, was the ability to connect with him. And get guidance from him, able to connect with my spirit guides and others who have helped me and been in my past lives. being able to talk to them now, like I have my practices to where I can just connect in at any time, walking the dogs, or if I am wanting to be more intentional and actually sit down, close my eyes and like focus in, I know that they're there and trust whatever communication comes through. But also like being able to do it just when I'm walking the dogs out in the world, that it makes me feel like I'm not alone. And that's a really cool feeling. Like I used to get scared walking like in the woods by myself, like, like looking behind your back and like having that nervous system reaction of like fear. I don't have that shit anymore. I know I'm good.
The funny thing is, it's probably the same guides that were with you then. You just didn't know who was there. So you're like, who's that? Like, I feel something around me. And it turns out it's just like your childhood friend, grandparents. They're just like with you all the time. And when it's really quiet and there's no distractions, you can feel them, even if you're not spiritual. You feel it in your bones. But once you have that connection, you could just figure it out really quickly. Like, oh, that's grandma so-and-so. Like, I know exactly what she feels like. Because now that I work with her, I know what her energy is like every time she's there, and you can talk to her immediately. It's a different kind of connection that you wouldn't have otherwise, which is awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you and I both got caught by that past life bug really early. Like I was a teenager too. Yeah. When I first found past lives, I was 16 when a teacher, my chorus teacher, handed me Many Lives, Many Masters and just said, I don't know why, but I feel like you need to read this. I was like, okay, I don't know. And that was it. That was it for me. It just changed everything. And I think when we are supposed to do something, when like there's something that our soul needs, whether it's something we need for ourselves or we're going to do for others, it finds us like 100 times over, that by the time you realize it and put the pieces of the puzzle together, you're like, oh, duh, that's been smacking me over the head for 20 years. And I just wasn't seeing it. Like I was letting those signs pass me by. I think you have this really strong natural gift that it was coming to you too. Like you could feel it. And yet the logical side of our head is like, no, like I just need to work. I just have to put my head down. I just have to get that pension. I just have to make sure that I'm doing X, Y, and Z because that's what everybody tells me I'm supposed to do. Check the boxes. Yeah, absolutely. And I know you feel that too. You felt that in the past.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. Definitely felt that. Was walking that like, okay, let's have a corporate job and let's get our pension and do all the things, because those are the examples that I've had in my life always. And like it had that nagging thing in the back of my mind, like, no, the spiritual stuff, there's something there, the past life thing, there's something there. And so I'm really glad that I took the plunge with you. And I don't even know if like on the Create Your Light Academy, like sales page, if you say anything about past lives, do you on there?
I don't even know. I have no idea. It's been a while since I've updated that.
Really? Because like I must have, just like you're talking about, I must have just been drawn to it because I knew that was what, like, not me consciously knowing, but like my energy knew that that's what I was going to get out of it, Like
I know I talk about it a ton on TikTok. That tends to be the thing that I talk about more, mostly because for whatever reason, that community is really drawn to past lives versus just talking about straight up shadow work, because shadow work has 4 key facets to it. There's past lives, there's ancestral healing, there's womb work, and there's inner child work. And in Create Your Light, we cover all 4. And with those meditations, you can keep pulling as much out as you want to. But past lives, for some reason, are really intriguing for people. I mean, I know it was for me, so I know my reasons, but I think just across the board, it's interesting for so many different facets of us to think, I've been here before. There's something that I've done before that I'm supposed to do again. So I have a soul purpose and it feels good to find that. I have people around me that my soul has known before and they feel like home. And also the idea of like immortality. Like we don't have to put so much pressure on this life. It doesn't have to be perfect. We don't have to worry about wasting it because we're just going to come back again and do it all over again. It'll be slightly different, but we're coming back and doing it again.
Just try your best right now. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. My 7-year-old daughter tells that to people. She's like, don't worry, just try it again next time. It's fine.
I love that. You're raising them right. You're raising them right.
It's so different than how we grew up. There's just such an openness now. But I do feel like for those of us in our 20s, 30s, 40s, that there's that lingering piece that's like, yeah, but it's still supposed to be like checking all the boxes and living a certain way and having it go a certain way. And it can be hard to break free from that. But
Oh,
shadow work
definitely.
helps. Yeah, it lets you see the bigger picture. Like you can kind of zoom out and see what it looks like from that bird's eye view.
Which is so important, right? We get so caught up in the day-to-day grind. So like allowing yourself to have that hour or so to like drop into meditation and really like sometimes it is digging in, right, to a certain situation, but also like you have those moments where you high level it. And that's really valuable for your overall life and just direction giving for yourself.
Yeah, it takes the strain out of moments that would otherwise be hard. When we get so caught in the weeds of like, this is awful, what's happening to me right now is so hard. And we know like 2 years from now, you're not going to remember that day. You're not going to
Right.
remember how it felt. It's going to be a distant memory if you can recall it at all. So if we can zoom out now and have you feel that disconnection from it and just regulate your body, we can shift that in the present moment and nothing has to feel that hard. You'll always know that there's a way out and you'll be able to find it with more clarity because you can see the bigger picture.
Right, right. The fog is cleared a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all the way.
Yeah. So tell me more about Create Your Light. What was it like going through an experience like this with other women? Because the groups are small and yet it's a bunch of strangers that you're going through Create Your Light Academy with.
Right. Yeah, no, I loved it. All the women that I was in my cohort with were amazing. And like finding out that I had past lives with one of the women in the group was really amazing too.
Cool.
I think that was really neat for me. Yeah, the community aspect was awesome. I loved that. And like being able to, because I'm not gonna lie, I sobbed like many times during the beginning of it, that's a part of that release and it's all needed, right? So it was really valuable to be held in those moments by all of those women. And that really kind of broke down some of like the sisterhood wounds that I know that I have, and I think that a lot of women have. So it was really valuable to me to have that experience with all of them.
Yeah, it changes things. And I've said this before on this series, like it can be tough to be so vulnerable with strangers, but because of the fact that everybody's doing it, like everybody's just kind of going to that really raw place together as a group, we forge bonds that no one could ever take that away. It's
Right.
just so powerful and so paradigm shifting and really healing in itself outside of the shadow work that we're doing.
Yes, 1000%.
And how about
Yeah.
with Radiate Your Light? And that's like a totally different beast because we're really focused on business there. And yet the sisterhood, I feel like gets even stronger because some of the people you've done Create Your Light with, some of them you haven't, and they're brand new to you. And you're going to those deep levels and sharing stuff that's really vulnerable. Like, I don't know what I'm doing in my business, or I don't know how to manage money, or like, I don't know how to set up systems around these things. And that can be scary in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that community there was great too. For me, it was like getting that reassurance from all of them that like what I was bringing to the world was needed, because for a long time I didn't have that. Like I wasn't allowing myself to think that about what I was doing. I was so caught in the weeds and like focused on learning all the things and all of that. So having all of those women there to be like reassuring me that no, what I have is valuable, and that what I bring to the world is valuable, like having that outer like reassurance was really great for me.
Yeah, it's really cool. And the group does get really strong. One of the things I loved having you in the group for was not just the fact that you were learning and growing with everybody, but you bring a unique perspective because your business is centered around helping entrepreneurs, which is kind of cool. And that tends to happen in every round of both Create Your Light and Radiate Your Light, that it's not like I'm running the group and everybody else is just a student sitting around. It's like as your confidence grows and your trust in yourself, everybody is an expert and everybody chimes in and helps each other, which is amazing.
Definitely. Yeah. I loved when we were able to like post what we had gone through our meditation, or maybe working through like business stuff in either program. And it's like everyone would chime in, like, here's what I think and feel. Here's what I think and feel. Here's what's being shown to me. And so you're able to take everyone's pieces and kind of like understand it, put your own like spin on it as well, based on what you're feeling and seeing too.
And it was cool. And once everybody did their shadow work, like usually by like week 6, week 7 of Create Your Light, everybody's basically moved through the majority of their shadow. And so they're showing up differently. Like they're just more confident, they're strong, their visions are really clear, their psychic abilities are really clear. So when they do chime in, it's what I would say. And it's like, how cool is that? Like just everybody's there, everybody's on the same page, and it's amazing how it comes together.
Definitely. I totally agree. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, I loved having that ability and having that community to lean on, especially in the RYLA for sure.
Yeah, it does make a difference. And RYLA is a little bit longer too. So you get more time to cultivate those relationships. But it also is harder because there's a pressure on it of like, okay, like we have 3 months to get it together. We have 3 months to put this out. How's it going to go? But you guys all were amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I think we all got out of it what we needed to, for sure. I love that.
I think so too. Okay, so we talked about the good stuff. Tell me what was hardest about Create Your Light Academy. Where did it feel tough?
Where did it feel tough? Let's see. Honestly, like taking care of myself physically was one of the hardest parts. Like after definitely like about midway through, it got really hard. Like continuing to eat and like, because I don't cook for myself very well, like full disclosure.
We'll work on that.
Yeah, we're working on that. But so that like just the physical toll on my body, you know, that really was kind of draining, but that's a part of the learning experience, right? When you're doing all of the shedding and just this energetic work, there comes a different way that you have to take care of yourself. So like learning that, I had to learn that kind of the hard way.
Yeah.
So that's something I think that was really difficult, you know, dealing with like the emotions that would continuously come up was like another thing, you know. Not only was like that happening during and after the meditations, you know, it's like when you're out in your 3D world, like just things would hit differently, you know, you'd start seeing things from a different perspective. And so like, I wouldn't really say that was hard, but there were moments where it was difficult, you know, like where you're having to face things in a different way than you had before.
Yeah, it's like an unsettling feeling because we're taking everything that you've built, even if it was built on shitty foundation, we're still taking everything that you built and we're kind of shaking it up. And we're trying to make it so that the initial foundation is really strong so you can build anything you want on top of that. But it's a shift, it's a change. It's going to shake up your world. It's going to make you feel differently about people in your life and relationships, the job that you have. I can't tell you how many times through Create Your Light Academy over the past few years, people have up and quit their jobs at the end and ended up doing something that was way more soul aligned, but it was terrifying. Like I just got a message from someone. She did it in the fall. She did Create Your Light Academy and she was working as a nurse full time. And she just messaged me the other day. She quit that job. She was like, I can't. Knowing what I know, knowing what my journey has been, I have to just kind of like take some time for me and quit. And she messaged me that she's getting her nurse coaching certificate and she's starting her business in a few weeks.
Wow, that's amazing.
Right? It's a shift. And it's going to feel hard and scary in those moments of like, okay, like I was in this relationship for 6 years and all of a sudden it's not right for me. Or this person was my best friend, or this job is something I've been doing for 15 years. And all of a sudden it doesn't feel right. Because if we're going to make you grow in a way that's really explosive, it's going to make you pop off. And when that happens, things around you are going to shift because you're going to force them to. They're not going to change, really. You are, which means that everything around you either has to shift with you or you have to release it and let it go because it's weighing you down. But it is a choice. The body stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. We're going to chime in.
I was going to say it's that like the vibration, you know, like you're vibrating at a certain rate and then like you begin to vibrate in a different way. So like everything else that's not matching is going to fall away.
Exactly. And when it comes to taking care of your body during Create Your Light, that was actually something I struggled with too when I first did my shadow work. When I did it, it was years ago, and I was working in one-on-one sessions with a mentor, and she was amazing. I cannot say enough amazing things about her. She passed away a year ago, so she's one of my spirit guides now. And when I was working with her, two of the things that were the hardest for me were the fact that I was doing it alone because I couldn't just constantly bombard Allison with like, hey, like just be my only support person now. So I had it alone and that was tough. And then the other thing was the fact that it was hard on my body because as we're shifting so much energetically, emotionally, mentally, it does take a toll. So I try to include stuff in Create Your Light, like Reiki and Kundalini to bring us back, but it's discipline. It's like reminding yourself to do it every single day. And it's like, okay, I need to take those baths. I need to take energetic like water cleanses to bring myself back to normal. I have to give myself a break. And it's tough because it's not the way we're conditioned. We're not told to do that. It's not like our parents taught us, like, oh, honey, whenever you start to feel like this, you should go in the shower and let the water wash over you and let it clear you. We're just not taught that stuff. So it's weird, but that is why the group is cool, because you can be like, I'm feeling crazy, and everybody can go, me too, or like, here's what I do, or myself and the other coaches like Nikki and Kristen can chime in and be like, here's some stuff you can do, and we can all move through it together. But it's hard. Yeah, it's different.
Definitely is. Yeah, it's a new paradigm shift that you have to kind of like go through, for sure.
Exactly.
But it's 1000% worth it. Like, if you think about being stuck in like the same job for 15 years, or being in a really shitty, maybe good relationship, you think, but then like you realize actually it's not that great, the veil is removed, right? Like, when you're going through it, it feels really like crappy, but once you get on the other side of it, you'll realize and feel like, oh wow, what if I was still stuck back there? I think about that now with my relationship. Like, what if I hadn't made the jump and gone through Create Your Light Academy, realized what I realized, and then made the decision I made? My business would not be where it is right now. My life would not be where it is right now. So no matter how hard it still is some days, like, I'm so thankful that like I made the commitment to myself to join.
Yeah. It's so funny that you said that. With my old therapy job, I would see a lot of older people, because I think when you get to a certain age, you need somebody to talk to. Like, there's so much happening in your life, loss and grief and what ifs, that you end up in therapy. And so I would have clients who were in their 60s, 70s, 80s. I actually had someone in their 90s once. And the things they would talk about in therapy were terribly sad. It was a lot of the what ifs. And it wasn't things that they followed the same path over and over. It was like they were on a trajectory and they just kept moving on it. And they didn't question it. They didn't stop to get off the ride and go, do I even want to be on this ride? Is this something that's meant for me? They just never question it. And then they got to be 60, 70, 80, 90. And they went, what would have happened if I chose to think about what I wanted? If I didn't just take over Dad's job and do what he was doing, or if I would have actually questioned my relationship. I have someone from Create Your Light, from not this current round, but the one that was right before it, who was in the process of going through a divorce right now, because the second we did shadow work, she was like, what am I doing? Like, I knew I didn't want to marry him the day we got married in my 20s. And I've just been living this lie this whole time. And now she messages me all the time about like, I'm free. I can finally be myself. I can finally show up how I want to. So it's worth it. It's just
1000%.
It's just one of those things that's terrifying. It's taking a leap, and you have to choose to take that leap.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, no, so am I.
Tell everybody about your business, because I feel like what you do is so cool. Because I have a VA, and virtual assistants, OBMs, they tend to be very structure-driven people, but not always spiritual people.
Right.
Yeah. So share everything.
Yeah. So what I do, I have kind of an agency. We're in the process of transitioning, right? Like right now, I'm the only OBM. And then I have 4 team members that help me. So what we do is admin for the back end of spiritual entrepreneurs' businesses. So like day-to-day activities, we'll help them launch maybe a program, set up or launch their podcast or maintain it. I like to repurpose content. So a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs, you guys will like channel in these amazing pieces of content and wisdom, but then you're at the mercy of the algorithm on like Facebook or Instagram, right? So like no one really sees it. So what I really like to do is take that content and repurpose it. So maybe bring it over to their blogs on their website, or bring some videos, edit it a little bit, and then bring it over to YouTube. I'll tell you this. So I was working with a womb priestess, and we had moved maybe about 7 or 8 of her Instagram videos, had edited some stuff about like, oh, I'm live or whatever, take that out, put it on YouTube, did the SEO for that. And it has been like getting scheduled out and stuff. And I just happened to pop in there like last week sometime to look at something else. And one of the comments was, I just searched on YouTube for this, and your video popped up. And it was like, oh my gosh, amazing. If we hadn't done the work to put that up onto YouTube, that woman would not have the wisdom that she does now from that video. So that was really like heartwarming to me. But that's kind of the work that I do, right? Is just make the content that my clients create go further for them. I also like to high level sort of strategize with them about like, what can we do to improve your business? Maybe that would be bring in a different program. Maybe we need to edit a sales page. Maybe you have an email list that you're not talking to at all. It's like, we need to up those things, So that's kind of what I do now. Yeah. And it is structured. I still have trouble with the structure myself. So like, I know I wanted to talk about that like, no one's perfect, at the end of the day, you just need to show up and try and do your best. And as long as you're supporting your people, then like, that's what matters.
Hell yeah, that's exactly right. And I'm so proud of you for everything that you do. And for anybody who's thinking about engaging with someone like Erin, the cool thing about Erin is that she channels her content. Like, it's not like the pressure's all on you to bring this stuff in. She has her own divine wisdom. She's an open channel, so she can help guide you in ways that your average person cannot. So the wisdom that you have is just next level. And I think anybody would be lucky to work with you.
Definitely. Thank you. Yeah. I try and bring in that like channel energy, but then also understand like the masculine marketing. So I try and really marry those two things for my clients.
Which is important, right? I think so many spiritual entrepreneurs and like the people watching this, if you're interested in Create Your Light, you might not be here yet, but I bet you when you go through shadow work, you're going to end up being here because you're going to look at your job as like the secretary at a dentist's office and be like, what am I doing? Like, why am I here? This is nothing like what I want to do. And you're going to want to break free from it. And freedom for me looks like being able to work the hours that you want to work. Like one of the things you and I talked about, Erin, was like starting work later in the day because that's when you work best. When you work for yourself, you can create whatever freedom you want. You create your clock, you create your hours, you choose how you show up and when you show up and what it's going to look like when you do. So that freedom is huge. When shadow's out of the way, it becomes easy because it's not like the fear kicks in at the same level. Like, it's still going to be there. There'll be little whispers of it of like, this is weird. No one does this. You can't do that. But it's not going to be like a scream. It's not going to be something where it's like, no, you can't, which a lot of us misinterpret as our ego kind of protecting us and saving us. And in reality, it's just trying to keep us at homeostasis. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is. It just keeps us small unintentionally. So
it keeps us paralyzed, right? It can be so loud, it makes us not move. So
exactly. And the feminine and masculine balance, the feminine is where a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs are because we create, we flow, we have all these ideas and this wisdom that we want to get out there, but we don't necessarily know what to do with that. Like, I know I want to have a program. I know I want people to sign up for it. I don't know how to reach them. I don't know what to say to make them come in, or I don't know the different structures to have in place to make it easy for them to come on. And that is where Erin shines.
Definitely. Most definitely. I know all of those systems and can help you get exactly what you need going. Because that is what stops a lot of people, is like just knowing where to start. The internet is so loud and so chaotic.
Yeah, I think so many people feel like, oh, somebody's already doing that, but it doesn't matter. It never does.
It doesn't. That's the biggest thing I tell my clients too. It's like, it doesn't matter. You may be thinking you want to be like a wellness coach, and so you follow a bunch of wellness coach accounts. And then like a month down the road, you're like, man, everyone's a wellness coach. It's like, no, that's just where you're zoomed in at right now. Like, your people need you. If you have the calling to be this, like, there are people out there who need what you're trying to give.
Exactly. And it's just an energetic match. They'll find you if you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
So we're at the end of our time. With the last thing I want to ask you, what would you say to anybody who's thinking about joining Create Your Light?
Just do it. If you're feeling the calling and you want to join and you're like, man, like thinking about it, you tap into that, take some time, really sit with yourself, and honestly, just make the jump, invest in it, because you'll be so thankful that you did. It may feel a little bit scary going through it, but it's worth it. 1000%.
Oh, thank you for coming on, Erin. I love you so, so much.
I love you too.
Yay. You'll post all your information in the comments, right? How people can find your website, social media, all the goodies.
Definitely. Cool.
I will. If anybody has questions, I'll make sure to bring your attention to it too. But thank you, everybody for tuning in and watching day 4 of Spotlight on the Shadow Seekers. Thank you again, Erin, for coming on. Oh. Yay. I love you guys all so much. And I'll see you tomorrow for day 5. Bye, everybody.
Bye.